Hello everybody, welcome to a game against Viscott, rated 1641. Let's see what kind of opening he pulls out. Let's see, is he going to go for a main line? He goes d4, knight f6, preparing a Benoni. Will he go c4? Survey says no, e3. In any case, we're going to go c5, try to provoke d5, and he creates this triangle setup, boxing in his dark square bishop. He's a 1641. May God help him. So I'm just going to put a pawn in the center. I'm going to create a pawn duo. Open up my bishop. Put my knight behind my c pawn. And play and have a great position. It's almost like we're white and he's going in some semi-Slav, right? So he puts his bishop here, which makes sense. Maybe one day he blunders something. We'll wait for that. For the time being, let's develop a knight towards his favorite square. He does the same. Fair enough. Oh, maybe he's going to go for a stone wall. That's what he's probably going to do. A 1600 who plays like this probably goes for a stone wall. Now that he developed his knight here, he never has his favorite square for the knight. So I'm going to include this pawn trade. You don't have to. You can keep the tension. Because the downside is you open up his bishop for him. So it does come at a cost. So I want to continue my development. I do want to play e6 at some point. My bishop does have somewhere to play on the queen side, but maybe you can even develop it to the king side if you want. I'm going to go here. He might go queen b3, but it's not as strong as usual because he doesn't have a lot of pressure on the light squares, which they sometimes do in these queen pawn openings. It's easily stopped. He doesn't have a knight to come in here to hit our queen if we go queen d7, so I feel comfortable moving my bishop out. He attacks it like this, but my plan was to bounce it here. So now we get to bounce it, and our bishop's outside the pawn chain. He goes knight here. I guess he wants to attack it again, but I mean, this is super slow. His position's awkward. I'd rather be black. There is some dynamic opportunities for e5. Which is possible. Normally you just go e6, solidify and develop. By playing e5, you give yourself an isolated d5 pawn on purpose. But you do have some energy. Whatever, we'll just go e6. It's not really a big deal. It's just a 10-minute game. He goes h4. He wants to kick our bishop and then trap it and make sure it has nowhere to go. So we're going to proactively go here so he can't kick it or trap it because we'll take his bishop. We don't want to lose a piece. So he develops his knight. He wants to attack the bishop again. Same story. It's getting old. Let's keep developing. Now we have 4 miners out. Him, 2, and the weirdly plays knight. He goes for a pawn storm, but like on what basis? On what grounds? What makes you think you have the permission from the position and from the demon lord to do this? Nothing. From where? Hopes and dreams? What foundation? Foundation of development? Foundation of king safety? Foundation of more space? Nothing. He has nothing to speak of. We're better developed. We have a safer king because we didn't move our pawns like crazy. Better pieces, better center. Why is he attacking us with pawns, right? Shouldn't make sense. So even if you can't find the move, you should know this stuff doesn't work. What's happening? Let's get the bishop out of the way, making his pawn moves look dumb and pointless. His queen moves up, coordinating with a total of 0 things. If he kicks our knight, we get to go to an outpost, looking at some interesting squares, coordinating with our bishop. Good for who? Good for us. So let's continue developing. Let's see. We have a queen. I don't see the need to castle right away. He has nothing developed but a queen. I'd rather... Castling is often more of a passive nature than an aggressive one, unless you're long castling. And so I'd rather do something more energetic and aggressive, like develop a piece, potentially with a threat. I don't see threats. I do see queen c7, develops a battery, really controls the square. Now his knights can't hop to the desired squares. His bishop can't come out. He can't develop, right? And you can, if you can ever give this check successfully, he can't castle. So he keeps pawn storming. He says, now when I kick your knight, you won't have h5. Aha! And it's like, so what? I'll just go back. And why are your pawns so far advanced? What are they doing, buddy? You could do that. You could also just play h6. And if he ever takes, the real benefit is you open up your rook to an immediate weakness. It's good stuff. So we could do that. We could also cast along and say, okay, pawn storm us. Our king's not even there, friend. We could do that. We'll just show you the h6 option. Just stopping this in its tracks. Or not. So what we're going to take, as that's the entire reason we played h6, which I thought was clear to both parties involved. Sure, he can take back, but you're hanging a pawn. And you just severely strengthen our rook, and I'm definitely castling queenside. So he takes the pawn back, but so what? Are you going to give up your dark square bishop for this knight? Not a good decision. Also, again, what about this hanging pawn? I don't want to take with the knight and pin myself. Although there is g6 there. But his rook's unprotected. So if I go here and he takes and I take and he goes queen here, hitting my knight, hitting my pawn, and there I go g6, protecting my knight, protecting my pawn. Then he gives me a nasty check. And then I block with my bishop, but bishop h6. But queen e7. Queen e7 holds. Wow. But why should I hold? I am up a pawn there. That should be winning. I might have missed something though. Alternative, take with the knight. There's no queen h2. He can't take it. And if he tries to do some weird deflection thing, we got that covered with the battery. And we'll play g6 next. Okay, let's take with the knight. To avoid that queen h7 line, which I think black was fine after queen e7, but this is probably stronger then. Because it controls these a third time. So he goes king f2 to try to lend support to the dark squares, which isn't the dumbest idea actually. It is not. We could just kick this guy and build up a beautiful center since we're going to... Our king is safe and we can literally castle, just pick a square. We could do whatever we want with our king. But the problem is the check. Queen f7? Actually, yeah. Queen f7 strong. We are up a pawn. Queen trades are good for us. So f6, he's almost certain to go here if he sees it. If he's good enough to notice that square is available. And then after we go here, he doesn't have any tactic, right? I don't see a tactic for him, so let's kick his bishop. And I knew he would go for it. It looks too enticing to players, and half of the players at least will miss that we even have a queen f7 move. And now we don't need to castle. Our king is better placed for the endgame than it would be castled on either side, supporting the center, supporting our pawn mass, and we're up a piece. We're up a pawn, not a piece. Our rooks are connected, but our knight doesn't have any squares. However, he can't attack the knight without trading, right? He doesn't have a light square bishop. So we don't have to really ever move it. It can just wait for the trades for a winning endgame since we're up a pawn. So we could use this opportunity. We have one semi-open file and one open file. I would like to double, but then he can apply pressure and my rook's loose. So in light of that, I'm going to push my extra pawn, control this square so he can't even use it. Maybe I can move my king, maybe I can put my rook behind that one. So he jumps with the knight, and now this offers trades like we want. So now we get to move this knight out of here. With a trade, seems reasonable. Here, 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 here. Let's just take the knight. We don't need to be fancy with 2 minutes on our clock. This guy has a whole 10 minutes like he didn't even think. Probably why he's down to material. So he takes with the knight. We don't want to take and bring his rook in. We want him to take and bring our rook in. However, we can support the rook with our king, trade, and then bring in our other one. That's a possibility. Do we want to give up our bishop for the knight? It's possible. You could. Definitely could. Let's just take it off the board, just to show you that even though it's a bishop and probably stronger in the endgame, we have options. There's different ways to play the position. This knight does well on c4. This knight can do well on f5, on d3, on d6. So he moves the king. Not sure what that's meant to accomplish, but hardly a good move, I imagine. Looks like it walks into stuff. First, I'm just going to put my knight here with a threat. We can always transfer it here, try to get him to play b3, provoke it, which would weaken the c pawn. Maybe we get our rook there first to target it, right? Wait, what? Okay, so he put his king here to trade, to sack his piece for 2 pawns, which 1000% doesn't work. He's almost checkmated himself. So let's get in our rook. Do we have better though? His king is so dumb. I almost want to go rook h to avoid the trade, but then I don't have like the follow-up I need. I'm also low on time. Let's just bring in this rook. And we'll trade. We're up a piece. I mean, trades are good. Trades are good. So we have just an easy conversion. We take this rook, we infiltrate his second rank, and then when he infiltrates ours, we block with the knight, and he can resign. Right? Because he'll realize that every single weak point is defended or untouchable. I guess he can try to go behind, but I mean, by that time we'll have taken and defended. It's a losing battle, obviously. But why not try it, right? Thirsty Thursdays. This guy's thirsty for his draw. But he's not going to get a draw. He will surely lose. This guy's hanging the guy behind it. He's got another weak F pawn. He's down a knight. He doesn't have easy targets with the rook. What are you going to do? But he does have one thing, 8 minutes on his clock. So he does find the go behind strategy, but as mentioned, way too slow. You see, I just won't take this one. Right? If you take it, he's going to take and you let his rook in. Why bother? Instead, I'll just push my free pawn. Thank you. I'll maximize my position. I have infinite time, so I might as well walk my pawns up the board and do what I want. Okay, let's maximize our position. Might as well just place the rook on a slightly better square while he does nothing. He moves his king because he wants to get checkmated. That's fair. So now we don't need our knight here. Where do we want it? This is kind of funny because now his king can't even come in. If we take here, this is a check. Otherwise, I'd look for a mating. Oh, wait, that's a mating net. He just mating net himself, but this is a check. Right? Because rook here is checkmate. So how do we get him to mate himself? Oh, wait, can we go here and here? No, then we unlock this. Oh, wait, so what if we cover that square first? And then although his plan is to push here. So if we go here and he pushes, we lose the mate. Darn. Only if he pushes this one. I really wanted the mate to work. That's unfortunate. Okay, we're going to go here anyway because this is a fork. We unlock this so he can go here, but it's not like his king is not a dangerous, obviously. I was just hoping to mate him. Maybe you could still mate him like this. Okay, he doesn't move his king. He leaves it there and gets forked. So we like that. Easy conversion. I was really... There had to have been like a cool mate, but... Okay, let's take the rook. He'll give one check. You block the queening square. Again, he can resign. My brain just did this thing where the board just slid. That was... Am I having a stroke? What was that? Anyway. Yeah, the game's over. He takes random stuff. Let's just take free stuff. You know, if you're like 1800, try to win this with your eyes closed. All right, a little bit of blindfold in a position like this, limited material. It might be hard, but it's worth a shot. We don't care about what he's doing, right? It doesn't matter. He's just wasting his own time, our time. We could sack all of our pieces for fun, which we will. We'll take one pawn with the knight. We'll take the other pawn with the rook. And we'll laugh at him, right? Because this is a waste of everyone's time. Now these two pawns run up the board. They don't need support. Two pawns are self-sufficient versus a king. Keep that in mind. I push one, he takes the other, I get a queen. So he has to babysit. And I can ignore him. This guy, not actually hanging, because I'll just get a queen. So as he goes back and forth and spends his life, his limited time on Earth doing that, we're just going to checkmate him. Don't be like this guy, folks. Be smarter. There's so many things you can do in this world. Paint, sculpt, read, write, watch TV, watch YouTube, Netflix, doom scroll, right? Have kids, start a family, make some money, new business, get some hobbies, ride a bike, go to the gym, right? You can exercise. But this guy wants to go back and forth with his king, right? His clock is dwindling down, the clock of life dwindling down, but he wants to go back and forth on a digital chessboard over the internet with a stranger. This is serious emotional insecurity, serious emotional damage, and it's not just this guy. It's like 90% of the chess players I face have no idea how to deal with their emotions and do this stuff. They all mismanage their life. Because if you're doing this with your life, you're clearly not managing it correctly. If you think this is the best you can do with your life, I mean, you're probably right, because at that point, you probably God did not bless you with the brightest brain on earth, so maybe this is the best you can do, right? So I shouldn't say that. Maybe this guy's like a special chess player, so who knows? Maybe he's special. He's very special, actually. So let's restrict his king to the first rank, and we'll get a promotion checkmate, which I've been wanting to do. And we'll promote to a rook. Oh, no, no. Oh, it's on auto queen. Oh, man. So let's analyze it. Hopefully, I didn't blunder. So we try to get a Benoni, but he goes super passive. So center and development. Development and center. Center and development. Okay, this, I mean, it's not the best move, and I knew it. I was trying to make a point for you guys. In many different positions, you delay the capture until he moves his knight so he doesn't have the best square. So I was trying to show you that point. But it also brings up a strong counterpoint that it opens his bishop unnecessarily. So it's more a point like if his bishop is already outside the pawn chain, then this makes more sense. Because we opened up his bishop, I wouldn't actually do it in a serious game, but it also is playable. So we throw it in. And now development and not trapping our bishop. Force move. Center and development. How bad is e5? Okay, it's tied for e6, so it is playable. What if it goes here? So this is what I was kind of looking at. But I don't really have experience in these positions because I rarely ever play e5 when the pawns are like this and there's no c pawn. But I know that it's somewhat playable. Here it's actually better for black. I don't really know much about it though. I guess next time I could, if I have the opportunity, I'll try it. So we just, oops, so we go center and development. And now prophylaxis, force move. Bishop's going to be trapped. Development and center. Prophylaxis, we don't want to get trapped. Development, center. Prophylaxis, right? There's this idea that you can let your opponent push h4. Oftentimes, it's best met with h5. But let's say you don't play h5. You can let your opponent push h5. But what you don't want to do is let them push h6. Because then you have to push g6. And that pawn in a deep endgame becomes an asset for white. That's why it's also good to push h6 yourself at this point once they get this far. So we do it. I thought we prevented this move, but he does it anyway. So free stuff because it develops our rook, isolates his material for no reason. And you get a pawn, so free stuff. Yeah, taking with the knight is winning at minus 1.7 or much better. Taking with the rook, which is what I decided against, is equality. So he does have rook takes, knight takes, queen h7 only move, g6 only move, and then I thought there were some nasty checks. I don't know which one. I figured bishop f8, bishop here, and then queen e7. Although I guess you could castle, right? Wait, did we move our king? No. Oh wait, no, no. If we castle, we hang a piece. Although it'll be pinned. Can we castle? Bishop takes and like, no. I mean that's equality. I mean I'm getting fancy for no reason, but that's the line I was avoiding anyway. Decided on the knight, which is a lot stronger. So I'm glad we made the right decision. It looked a little suspicious letting his queen in. Okay, improving our position for free and setting a trap, kinda, because this is not his best move, and it allows for and forces basically a queen trade because his bishop's hanging. So he has to take. We're forcing the trade. Now it's completely winning, minus 2.5. One in accuracy, but 98% game. So this is all well played. We get the queen trade. We're only up a pawn, but completely winning. Beautiful bishop, beautiful rook. Up a pawn in endgame. Very important. Okay, what's the best move here? It really is g5. Get a load of that. Wow. So knight e7, rook a d8. What? How would I? What? Rook a d8. What is it? To push? I don't know what that is. That's crazy. But knight e7 makes sense. We did that eventually. But g5 is best. There's this little point. We're trying to use it. He's trying to use it. And even potentially get rid of his weakness at some point. And you're supposed to push your pass pawns. So this is kind of our potential passer extra. Also gives our rook. There were many ideas behind this. It just looked really strong. It's interesting that it's best, so I like it. And now, trades or wins, so free stuff. Okay, so taking is just as good as not taking. I had a feeling it didn't really matter. His knight's not too deadly or anything. Like, this doesn't matter that much, but trades are wins, so why not? And now 97, best move, improving a piece for free. I think this is a bad move. And now improving a piece for free, minus 3. He goes for the third best move, sacking his bishop, because he feels despair, because he sees that with this extra pawn, he has no way to break through, and he's just going to has to defend a losing position. So he goes for some type of something, dynamism. Doesn't work, free piece, and now developing for free. Trades or wins, free stuff. And we know exactly what the human psychology is going to do. We're going to attack him. He's going to do the same thing. We're going to block. We know he's going to go behind, and then we know he's not going to be ready. And then we can do what we want. We're minus 5. You can spend your turns rerouting your knight where you want. You can go here, here, here. It doesn't really matter because you're up a piece. So yeah, we just slow improve our rook, slow improve our knight, and he blunders again. Easy enough. Submit your rapid games in the comments below or in my Discord. Good luck and goodbye.